Hello and welcome to What a Week That Was on the 25th of February 2022, and what a week it's been. Some might say historic. In fact, most people would say historic, I'll be honest with you. But it's not all been doom and gloom. We'll get to the doom and gloom in a bit, but let's be honest. Let's have DC, let's have a look at stuff that isn't doom and gloom to cheer us up before we get to the doom and gloom. And the gloom and doom, and the doom of gloom of doom. Where's my doom and gloom? There it is. That's my doom and gloom picture. To get us started, a reporter in America was doing a piece to camera, and his mum pulls up behind him in a car and says, "Hi, babe," and starts talking to the car, and he's actually live on telly. Hilarious. It's a very funny video. You need to watch it if you haven't already seen it. I need to watch it because I've not seen it, I'll be honest with you. But it sounds hilarious. And we like things that are hilarious. It was Miles Harris, no less. Him there, Miles Harris. And he's like, "Mum, I'm on telly. Can you go away, please?" All these Americans will be like, "Yo, Mum, I'm on telly. Can you go?" Oh, no, it's not American. I can't do American accents, so we won't bother. Anyway, so that was a bit of light-hearted news. We also had some success at the Olympics. By some success, I mean we won one gold medal. It's a bit pants, really. And it was in curling. Now, curling is where you get like a rock and push it on some ice. That's it. Okay, there's a bit more to it than that. And anyway, they won a gold. And the British men won a silver, which isn't gold, is it? So the women are better. But we knew that. Got to cheer up. Bonkers. Winning a medal for something like that. I think it's because other countries don't actually care. Don't care at all. They couldn't care less about it. My favourite sport, the only sport I really watch, is Formula 1. And the new shaped cars, which are a bit weird, are doing some shakedown testing at the moment in Barcelona, which is in Spain. And they are basically trying to find out what these new cars are like. Now, apparently, when you go around corners, the actual view that you get is a bit pooey plant pop. So why has that got a red dot on it? I don't know. Why has that got a red dot on it? Is that because I'm broadcasting? Yeah, probably. Anyway, yeah, they've got this thing that wraps around the wheel. Well, you can't really see it on that one. Oh yeah, you can on the inside. See if I can do this. Oops, that one. That bit there actually wraps over the wheel, bit like the Formula E cars, and I don't like that. Everything else I can put up with. I've got used to the halo now, but that bit on around the wheel I don't like it. And apparently the wheels are bigger, so it makes it more difficult to see the corners and everything. The new shaped car which are bouncing around because of ground effect. Yeah, I mean they're literally everything's new on the car. There's very little that's the same. For most teams, the only thing that's the same is the actual driver. Tyres are different, front wings, rear wings, side pods. The halo is similar. Everything else, just completely different. Anyway, be interesting season. And Mr. Spitty Out Lewis Hamilton, Spitty Out Dummy Lewis Hamilton, spoilt git, has actually shown up. So well done him. He actually got the fastest times as well. Not that anyone's really counting on times at the moment. But yeah, there you are. Also at the beginning of the week, I don't remember this or not, but we had some storms. We had Storm Dudley. There's some Dudley. Then we had Storm Eunice, which is that one, I think. And we had Storm Franklin, which is that one, I think. And yeah, they were pretty bad. There's lots of trees been, I nearly said knocked down, but blown over is probably a better way of doing it. Oh, I mean on the straights they're bouncing on the suspension. We're going back to the cars there. Thank you, DC. I was not aware of that. But yeah, the storms and the weather is shocking at the moment. It's been. I like going out on a Sunday for a drive and doing some videos, and I'll be honest with you, I've not been able to do it since just before Christmas. I think I might have squeezed a day between Christmas and New Year. And other than that, every Sunday, it's either been too wet or too windy or both. It's just absolutely rubbish. I mean, I wouldn't mind bad weather if it was proper bad weather, like proper snow or whatever, but all we're getting is rain and big waves like that there, which is quite impressive. Looks like a light bulb, which brings me on to Bulb Energy, who've sent an email out in the last few hours from this broadcast to their customers, basically stating that the price of their electricity is going to go up. So from April 1st, our prices will be increasing. We're increasing our electricity unit rate from 20.763p to 29.62p per kilowatt hour, and electricity standing charge from 23.296 to 32.141 per day. These prices all include VAT at 5%. Now, if you're not familiar with Bulb Energy, their big thing is, they're the ones with the unicorns, that they're counting the environment and they use renewable energy. For example, wind power, i.e. wind turbines, that kind of thing. The problems we've got at the moment with energy is the costs of gas and electric that are generated using fossil fuels. Well, gas is obviously a fossil fuel. So why, big question, are they increasing their their electricity unit by over 9 pence a unit? That's basically a 33% hike when it's supposed to be renewable electric, which isn't affected by other outside markets. That's the whole point why you sign up for Bulb. I haven't, but I know a lot of people have. And then you're like, hang on a minute. So let's just say that the electricity does have to go up in price because of demand, which is probably what they'll say. Why is the standing charge going up from 23.296 to 32.141, which is like another 9p per day? What's that about? Because standing charge is not affected by the amount of gas or electric you use. It's just a daily charge for the equipment in the room. So why the hell is that going up by but just under 9 pence a day? Ridiculous. And all these companies are making a lot of money from these price hikes, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. Of course, the next thing that we're going to be getting is we're going to get this happening again, which is people queuing up at petrol stations because the panic buying. I already seen it in Staley Bridge and Ashton Ludlow when I was driving back home on Tuesday. Basically, everyone's panicking, thinking that the price of petrol's going to go up. So, Grandad, I'm a granddad, so I have to be careful what I say, who goes like shopping once a month to his local supermarket, has now decided he needs to fill his car up to the brim, which is going to create shortages for everyone else and increase the price, even though we don't actually get any petrol from Russia. So again, we are creating a problem that we don't need to create. Talking of which, the ghost of Kiev, here we go. Are you ready for this? Everyone's favourite leader is not called Putin. However, this very serious gentleman has decided now, rather unsurprisingly, it's not like we've seen this coming, that he's going to solve a little problem that he's got, which is basically he wants to take back Ukraine, and he's going to do it by invading. Now, at the beginning of the week, Boris Johnson, our glorious leader, he basically said that if he does that, then there's going to be some serious sanctions. But just to warn him not to do it, here are some serious sanctions to begin with. So we're going to freeze a few of the banks' assets and money that's in Britain. We're going to exclude a lot of rich people from Russia from getting their own money or using Britain as a way of creating money and that kind of thing. So these sanctions come along, and Putin was like, oh dear, what am I going to do? I'm really scared. I know what I'll do. I'll invade anyway. And that's what he's done. Now, the problem you've got is, well, there's many problems. We don't want a third world war, because third world war is going to involve that. Oh, thank God for that. I thought I destroyed the planet then. Jesus. It's not even plugged in. The red button, the big red button, is going to be pressed if we go into World War. So the problem that the rest of the world's got is we don't want to go into war with Russia, even though we'd win if there are no nuclear weapons. But if there are nuclear weapons, no one's going to win. So basically, Putin has turned into a Bond villain. All he needs is a white fluffy cat on his lap to stroke, and he would be the epitome of it. I mean, the table he had was a Bond set. How many Bond movies have you seen when Bond sits at the end of a table that's 80 million miles long, and the baddie's got a gun or a harpoon or something, trigger thing underneath, and he just presses it, and then Bond slides and he goes woof right next to him, and away, and he's bang bish bash bosh. And yeah, Putin is basically turning into a Bond villain. And of course, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you've not watched the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die, and you've not seen the end of it, then mute me for at least 30 seconds. Okay? Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Now, at the end of that film, James Bond dies. That only come out this year. Putin now knows we've got no secret agents that are good enough to get him. So now he's invaded. Well, yeah, I think that's Ukraine. We haven't got a James Bond to save him anymore. So that's what happens. We need to know who the new James Bond is. Put all this right, definitely. Oh, we got some writing. The problem you've got is Mick Schumacher's Haas team as Russian sponsorship. Yeah, they've already removed the Russian sponsorship from the cars and other bits, and also as well, we're going back to the Formula One, because this is thrown together. They've already announced, the FIA, that they are not racing in Russia this year. The Russian Grand Prix has been cancelled, and there are other sports that are going to be cancelled as well over the next few days. Now, that should be automatic. Of course, China's watching all this, and China's thinking, we could have a Grand Prix. No, they're not thinking that at all. But they're thinking, we quite like the look of Taiwan. This is Ukraine, by the way, not Taiwan. But we like the look of Taiwan. And the world hasn't done anything to stop Russian invading Ukraine. So we could invade Taiwan, and that would be fine. And it probably would. I don't think anyone would get involved. I think people would just let them do it. But there'd be sanctions, which takes us back to what we were on about, for as long as I've been doing these things. And that is, of course, if you live in Wigan, you're well aware that there's a major development, and it's funded by Chinese companies, Chinese money, which are linked to the Chinese government. So if any assets are frozen, any sanctions are on, Wigan is going to end up with a half-demolished shopping centre, or an empty shopping centre, or a big hole in the ground, and no money to finish it, because we are at war or sanctioning China, which is what we've done to Russia, which is fair enough. Hiya, Angela. So, don't forget you can join in the debate. The whole point of a debate is other people talk. Otherwise it gets very boring. You just have to listen to me. And that's boring. Let's bring it back to Greater Manchester, shall we? Because Manchester is having a clean air zone, or CAZ as they call it. Now CAZ is short for Karen. And we all know what Karens are like. So basically, it's a plan to charge people for using vehicles which are not deemed to be acceptable with their emissions in built-up areas, such as towns and cities. There's been a big kerfuffle about it. Good use of the old word kerfuffle there. And they have now decided to put it back. So instead of being the 31st of May when it starts, it's now been put back for a while. But they put all these signs up around the whole of Greater Manchester. I mean, literally everywhere. You can't drive without seeing one. But they've all got the wrong date on. So now they're going to have to go around to every single one of these signs and put a sticker on them saying, well, I don't know what the sticker's going to say. It might just cover the date up. Or it might have the new date on. But I imagine they haven't got a new date yet, so it's just going to cover the date up. That's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, not only for the stickers, but guys and girls driving around in vans to stick them on. Ladders, disruption. Absolutely a joke. And I'm fuming about it. I am. Look. And then, if it is a blank one, and then they decide that, right, we're going to do it slightly differently, but we're going to do it from the 1st of October. These things take time. They're going to have to go around again and put more stickers on these things. Now, everyone in Greater Manchester knows that this thing isn't happening on the 30th of May, so we don't need to re-sticker it. We just need to leave the signs up and then put the date on when the date is valid. And if people are stupid enough to think that the thing started, well, that's up to them, innit? Get your head out from under a rock. Because, well, indeed. Yeah. Then, of course, we are going a bit left and right and all over the place at the minute, but I quite like the randomness of this. COVID. It's still here, you know. Despite what Boris says. You know, Boris. That guy. He's now decided that all restrictions are null and void in England. Not the United Kingdom, just England. So Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, they're all slightly different. Some of them I agree with. Others I don't agree with. And the main one I don't agree with at all is the no legal obligation to self-isolate if you get COVID. Well, hang on a minute. There are still people out there who are vulnerable. So you're telling someone who's got COVID, knows they've got COVID, that it's alright to go to work, assuming that they're, you know, not really ill with it. I can't imagine he's going to drag people out of hospital beds and send them to work, but I mean, just assuming, because these symptoms are quite light on this Omicron variant, send them out, and people going out to work and mixing with random people on buses, random people on in shops, in cafes, and you could have COVID, know you've got COVID, and still not need to wear a mask or self-isolate. What could possibly go wrong? Well, everything. So, for me, personally, nothing's changed. And for a lot of people, nothing's changed. Okay, you walk around supermarket now, Tesco for example, and I'd say 80% of the people don't wear a mask anymore. But there's plenty of room there to get around. I wear a mask, so I'm happy with that, and the other 20% do. And some of the staff still do as well. You go into other shops, and some people wear masks, some people don't wear masks. But if I had COVID, and I knew I had COVID, I would not go anywhere where I would risk giving someone else the virus. I would stay at home. I would order my food online. I mean, why is it not legal to do that? Because when you go into a shop, you could go into a small, I don't know, little corner shop thing where it's just rammed with shelves and stuff, and you're literally walking past people, no mask on, with COVID. How is that safe? To other people walking around who don't have COVID, but are also not wearing a mask because they feel now it's safe, when it's actually more dangerous now than it's ever been. It makes no sense. And yes, Angela, the worst part is people are getting annoyed at people wearing a mask. I don't really care. I think I'm going to be a mask wearer for a while. I did walk into a shop because I forgot my mask yesterday. I left it at home, and then I went out of the shop and ended up in another shop, and then looking for a mask and didn't have it. And I thought, oh crikey. But it was a very big shop and there was only 2 people in there. So, and I didn't buy anything, I was just in to talk to someone, but I kept the distance and everything else. But I felt really, really weird. I felt like I was naked. You know, like them dreams you have where you're naked. But no, the people who are wrong are the people who were listening to Boris. Because they're the same people who were slagging Boris off for all these parties. The same people slagging Boris off for doing all these restrictions and ignoring them anyway. But now Boris has said something they agree with. Boris is great. No, Boris is a fool. But he's our fool. We love him in a weird way. Oh yeah, me too. Oh, Naked Elder. No, you don't want to see that, trust me. Just never go to a pub maybe when there's lots of beer, a free bar, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, even I feel sick thinking about that. I need a drink. Crikey. No, I've said all along though, the most dangerous people for spreading COVID are people who are triple vaccinated and think they're cured, because you're not cured. There is a fourth vaccine going out soon to omitted vulnerable people, and there may be a fifth one in autumn as well, omitted to vulnerable people. No one is cured of COVID. You cannot get cured of COVID because it changes all the time. There's a new variant. Well, there's about 3 new variants that I'm aware of. None of which are overly scary, but could be. And you could fly in from anywhere in the world and not have to do a test. But you could have caught the most deadly version of COVID. You don't get the symptoms for a couple of weeks. By then, how many people have you spoke to? Not wearing a mask. Blah, blah, blah. On the other side, you have to likes of Trudeau that has taken the COVID powers too far. Yeah, everyone. There's no right and wrong way. The only way to do and deal with COVID is to try and get the balance right. Oh, I turned into Pesh mode then. Get the balance right. You've got to protect... Oh, I'm turning into Robocop now. Protect the innocent. Save lives. Protect the NHS, save lives, etc. The NHS at the moment is not overly burdened, but I think we should bring back the Nightingale hospitals, because all them beds have gone somewhere. So, bring them back, get all them beds out, and then do operations on people that need operations, knee, hip. Now, I don't know anyone who needs one. I'm not saying this for personal gain, but people who need operations, they can have an operation in a main hospital. Once the danger period is over, be it 24 hours or 48 hours, rather than staying in for another 3 or 4 days before they can go home, they go to the Nightingale Hospital. And then someone else can use that bed, so we can then double up the amount of operations we're going to do, because there are millions of people who are going to die because they're not because they're not going to get the operation, but they're going to die before they get the operation because the waiting lists are that long. So bring back, you could have one in each, one big hospital in each main area. So one in the northwest where everyone goes to, and they all get better, and then they get sent home from there and then get replaced again. I'm not doing it. Bojo said 2 Jags. Well, that's all he's getting. No, 2 Jags was what was he called? The punchy guy, Prescott. That was 2 Jags. Bim the Elder Day, Mr. DJ Did. I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Lewis. It's funny how everyone comes on when it's about to go off. No, we're alright yet. We've got another 10 minutes. You've just joined us. We've been discussing various things, including, obviously, winning gold at the Olympics, our only gold, from curling, pushing a rock on ice. Wow. Bulb being absolute ales to their customers, which is not unusual. The new Formula 1 cars, and the fact they're not going to Russia because, obviously, Putin has invaded and started to blow up parts of Ukraine. We've also discussed various storms that we've had in Britain, and the possibility that everyone's elderly grandparents are going to cause an absolute S-storm by panic buying petrol again. This is an old picture, by the way, because you can tell because the price of the petrol there is £1.31 or £1.37.9. God, I wish for them days again. But yeah, it's just a joke. So that's what we've been discussing. Feel free to join in with any of them discussions. Side note, anything Game Boy like coming to the shop recently? No, this is not a place for that kind of discussion. You know that, you bad man. So yeah, we're. I did say, although I probably shouldn't say, but the shop is under grave threat at the moment from demolition, and I probably feel safer if I was in a different capital city. But what can you do? It's life. Like I say, we moan about our problems, but we've got nothing compared to other people. I'm still wondering if Her Majesty's managed to get the 12 million for a friend that she was asking about. Hopefully she has. So anyone else want to talk about anything? Like I say, we've just had a quick run through what we've been talking about. The main guy is the Bond villain himself, Vladimir Putin. Like I say, all he needs there on that picture is a cat and just to be stroking the cat. Ah, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you. Sit at the end of my very long table with my laser gun and strapped underneath, like that. What do I think Putin's goal is? I don't think Putin knows what Putin's goal is. I think he's scared that his people are thinking that the West have it better than they do, which some would say is true. I wouldn't know because I've never been to Russia, but what I've seen on it, it doesn't look like the nicest place in the world. But the rich there, I mean, there's a rich-poor divide everywhere in the world, obviously in the UK as well. I mean, you see these gated mansions dotted around. You see these huge country houses with, grounds bigger than towns and all that kind of stuff. And, they're very rich. And then you see people on the street with, pumping drugs into themselves, smoking weed, all that kind of stuff. And then you see families struggling, single mothers with 18 kids trying to pay a gas bill. It's bad. But obviously the grass is always greener on the other side. So a lot of people in Russia seem to think that maybe we're a way forward. And the West has been catching up. I'm going the wrong way. The West has been catching up to the East by kind of reclaiming, or not reclaiming, but getting people like Poland and Hungary and Lithuania and all these former Soviet countries to be westernized and even be part of the EU. And it would terrify him because he wants his bubble, which is Russia. Okay, it's a massive bubble, but he wants that to stay where he can be in charge of it, and he can keep his billions and billions and billions of rubles that he's got, and dollars, no doubt, and euros, and just bombard the people below him and tell them that they're having it good, because that's how communism works. But the worry is that because he's getting away with it, and he is getting away with it, but what else can you do? China, which we did say earlier on, is going to be invading Taiwan, because they're like, well, no one did anything to stop Putin in Ukraine. Maybe we should go for Taiwan while everyone's busy, because they can't look at two things at the same time. So what will end up happening is you'll get sanctions, massive sanctions, money frozen and everything, like we've done on Russia, on China, which is going to cause a headache for lots of people. I didn't hear Trump's comments on Putin, I'll be honest. Yeah, I Gator Man. Well, of course he doesn't. You don't want your enemy next to your border. Even if your enemy has no intention of invading you, it looks weak on your part. You're a weak leader because you've allowed that to happen. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get this buffer thing between him and them. Whether it'll continue or not, whether he'll go for Latvia and Lithuania and Poland and all them kind of things, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, it's Ukraine. But Ukraine is its own separate country. It's been democratic since the Berlin Wall fell. It seems to be doing okay for itself. Was it 8% or something of all the world's grain comes from Ukraine? Ukraine is successful. It's doing very, very well. Thank you very much. Maybe that's another reason why Putin doesn't like it. Hang on. Trump says the strategy was genius. Well, it wasn't genius because we all knew what was going on. But it's like Italy saying, once upon a time, we ruled the whole of Europe. Right, we're going to claim back what is ours, rightfully ours. So we're going to claim back Germany. We're going to claim back Spain. We're going to claim back Italy. No, we already are Italy. We're going to get Belgium. We're going to get all these countries, Portugal. And we're damn well going to get back England. It's exactly the same thing. That's what Putin's doing. He's trying to recreate what was in the past. Admitted, I'm talking with Rome, 2,000 plus years. Whereas Putin, we're only talking, 30 plus years. Oh, hi, Patrick Well Music. I don't think World War III has started, no. I lived, because I'm old. You can tell I'm old, because, well, 4K. You can't hide anywhere than 4K. I lived through not the Cuban Missile Crisis, but certainly the Cold War. I wasn't born when JFK was around or anything, but if you played like Black Ops and stuff like that, you've kind of got an idea what was going on in history at the time, and you never thought about it. It was like a joke. You go to school the next day, and if there'd been something on the news, you'd be talking about what was on the news, and then you'd say, oh yeah, see tomorrow as long as they don't press the red button, and it'd be like a running joke, because these nuclear weapons were pointing everywhere, and everyone was itching to press this button, this button here. But it's not this actual button, because this is a joystick button. But, that button there, and they want to press it, I think we're less likely to have a nuclear war now than we would have been 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I think people are wiser now. So I don't think the red button's going to be pressed, but we've all got a red button, and that's the scary thing. What worries me is Biden. He's a bit jittery, isn't he? And he could be like, oh, should I press the red button or shouldn't I press the red? Oh, I pressed it by accident. There is that possibility that could happen. So we've got to be careful with that. Trump says he's a genius. I don't think Putin expected us to call his bluff. No, he had no choice but to invade Ukraine. And we all know what happens to weak dictators. Yes, we do. Anonymous are back on our hacking and leaking Russian government websites. No, the Ukraine was part of the USSR, which was the Cold War Russia. Like, East Berlin was part of the USSR. And then Poland and Hungary and Yugoslavia and all them. But they were a little bit more distant, but they were still part of that. They were communist countries. It was Lech Wałęsa in the 80s who kind of got Poland out from that and ended up being a democracy. And then obviously the Berlin Wall fell again, I think in the 80s. And that basically ended that. Russia kind of retreated back then. Because basically after World War II, the winning countries, which was the Allies and Russia, because they were on our side at the time, kind of divided up Germany and most of Europe. Right, you look after that bit, and we'll look after this bit, and and then we'll let them get it all back and do this kind of stuff. So that's where East Berlin came from. But obviously you got the Stasi there, and it got really bad. And Russia had the KGB, and they infiltrated Poland and Hungary and all these other places. So this is where the Cold War developed. And then the Berlin Wall came down, everyone was friends again, and then eventually, after Yeltsin, this guy, 20 odd years ago, took control, and he's been building his armies up ever since, very quietly, which is what Hitler did, to be fair. I don't think you could say that we called his bluff. We didn't do. What we did was we let him do it. We should have come down on him quicker, harder. And I don't... some people would say one bullet would solve this problem. I don't think it would. It would just put the problem off. It's difficult to interfere with other countries' democracies or governments. It's a very tricky thing to do. You don't want to do it unless you know what the outcome is going to be. I mean, Bush and Blair completely effed up the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, all that, with that illegal war that they did. They should be in prison as far as I'm concerned. And that's why we're getting all the immigrants coming over, because we destabilised it so badly that it's never been stable since. And you've got like the Taliban running riots, you've got other people running riot, where the dictators that they had before we went in were on top of it all, and they controlled it all. Not completely, but certainly more than is being controlled now. And you try and put a democracy in that tribal thing that's been going for thousands of years, long before we had, quote, civilization, and that we, as the West, dictate to them, because we find what they do slightly distasteful, that we are better than them and they should do it our way. When our way obviously doesn't work, and their way has worked for centuries. Brutal, yeah, in times, but it was stable. And, you know, stable place is what everyone's after. And, you know, if you did something wrong, you would face the consequences, and it would be brutal. So you've got to look at it on multi levels, that Russia, the way Russia works, is different from the way, well, certainly the Middle East work, and certainly the West works. Russia works in the way Russia works. And removing one person from that won't necessarily solve the problem. I was around when Brezhnev was president, and then if you watch the Frankie Goes to Hollywood video, Two Tribes, that wasn't Yeltsin. Who was that in the video? But they had an actor playing Ronald Reagan and another actor playing the Soviet Union. Basically, the two tribes had gone to war in this UFC ring made out of sandbags, because it was a war, and dust and all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of the world, there's one person from each country around it, and they're all kind of cheering and swapping money around and betting on who's going to win. And then at the end of the video, the whole world explodes. And we don't want to go down that route. There is a possibility that if China do decide to invade Taiwan, that may push us into a world war. But it depends. If China and Russia unite and back each other in what they're doing, that's when they've got major problems. If they do it separately, we can probably handle it to a degree. I don't think we do anything about it, but we can handle it. But we rely too much on them. Russia money in the UK, there is far too much of it. Same with China. I mean, Wigan at the moment is having £190 million of Chinese money spent on it in the next 4 or 5 years. What could possibly go wrong? So you've got to look at it from multiple levels. We've got some writing though, so I'll look at this as well. Why would Russia invade? Why would Russia invade Russia? No, the Russia invading Ukraine. Ukraine is not part of Russia. Ukraine is its own state. The thing that makes me hate Putin is he says Ukraine attacked Russian citizens. Yeah, that's what they do. Dictators don't tell people the truth, and they limit. Obviously, it's more difficult now to do that. Back in the old days, they stick posters up, and they own all the newspapers and everything. But obviously, people in Russia can still get Western internet, although they try and block it. Same with China. They do try and block the internet, so they can basically say what they want, and then they can show clips of anything and say this is what this is, and then not all, but a lot of the people of Russia will think, oh well, yeah, we better kick their ass. It was a cause of the invasion due to Ukraine wanting to join the EU. I don't think they wanted to join the EU. I think Putin thinks they wanted to join the EU. I disagree. Germany pulling out the Nord Stream 2 put Putin in a very difficult spot. He was backed against the wall and had no option other than to invade. In a sense, it's almost admirable. Yeah, or a bit stupid, one or the other. NATO, more NATO. You're missing Gogglebox. It'll be on in +1. So far, China has been hesitant to send support other than stating they won't sanction Russia. That is true. But yeah, something's going to kick off between. See, the problem China's got is, and this is another thing, China have got the Olympics currently going on. We've had the Winter Olympics, and then there's a 2-week gap, and then we have the Paralympics. So there's the disabled Olympics, if you don't know what Paralympics are, and they want that to go ahead, and they want all the countries to send their athletes there so that they get the TV coverage worldwide of how great China is. But the big thing about Olympics is you don't do it to actually get athletes there. That's a way of getting other people there. And the other people you get there are your diplomats. So what you do is you let them watch a ice hockey game, or you let them watch figure skating or whatever, and then that night you give them a really fancy meal, and then you give them a night to remember of, this is China in this case. We're a great country to deal with. We've got all these industries going on. We've got all these skilled workers. We can give you subsidies. We can do this, that, and the other. And that's what the Olympics are about. They're about making money. And whenever you watch an Olympics, one of the things to say at the end of it, or a few weeks afterwards, is how much money it made. But it's not from ticket sales necessarily, because they're minimal. It's from business deals that are done in the background with the diplomats. Now, the problem this year is, because China have been threatening Taiwan, not as much as Russia were threatening Ukraine, but they were threatening Taiwan, and everyone's thinking they're going to invade Taiwan. Plus, they're building them islands in the middle of the ocean to try and claim land that doesn't even exist as China. And they've got the human rights. They've got the those people who just disappear. You've got the tennis player who no one's seen or heard of for weeks now. You've got the woman that they sent into the UK Parliament, and there's probably more than one of them, interfering and handing out money left, right and centre. So China is not somewhere that you want to be involved in, but when the Olympics are over, they'll be like, right, well, everyone's gone home now, so we can now pay revenge on the West for not sending their diplomats and us not making money from the Olympics. So what we'll do is we'll send home a load of British diplomats from their embassy, American, French, Canadian, Australian, blah, blah, blah. We will then send back Chinese diplomats from their embassies in our countries, and then there'll be sanctions and this, that and the other going on. In the meantime, they may well invade Taiwan, at which point there's massive sanctions going on, people trying to get out of China. It's just a maelstrom of terror that's going to come. I disagree. I think Germany... Oh, we've done that one. So far China has been hesitant. Yeah, we've done that one. Hit the like button, subscribe, share and enjoy the stream of content. Oh, that was a cheap plug, but thank you. F1 Russia Grand Prix is cancelled. Yeah, they cancelled it earlier on today. China invades Taiwan. What happens to Wigan redevelopment? Well, this has been my argument. If you've been watching my streams from the moment I first mentioned the Wigan development and the money coming from China, I've been saying Russia's going to invade Ukraine, China will invade Taiwan, sanctions will be everywhere, and the money will run out. And the problem you've got is, if the money runs out now, we've got an empty shopping centre, but we can do something with that. If the money runs out in 6 months' time, we've got a part demolished shopping centre and no money to do anything with it, and we can't do anything with it because we haven't got the money. That's bad. 12 months down the line, we've got a massive hole in the middle of Wigan and no way to fill the hole. Bad. 3-4 years down the line, oh, we've got a finished building, but it's all owned by Chinese people. So what happens then? If it's owned by China, where does the money go for the people who are paying the rents and all that kind of stuff? So yeah, it's all, everything is literally up there in the air, in the air, as they say in somewhere, I don't know where. And yeah, it's scary times, but like I said, I've lived through them before. And I think that was more terrifying than this is. I think there's going to be a lot of cyber stuff going on. I think someone already mentioned that Anonymous are back. You know, Anonymous, they're back. And obviously there's going to be cyber attacks. Well, there always are cyber attacks from Russia and from China all the time anyway. That's just a given. But obviously they're going to escalate, and obviously we cyber attack them as well. So that's going to escalate. So a lot of this war might well be just not necessarily where you'd expect it to be. It's going to be somewhere that we don't even see, apart from maybe the odd thing where we have to maybe not be able to get our money out of the bank for a week or something. That's all we're going to see. We're not going to see... I don't think we're going to see guns on the street or anything like that, and I don't think we're going to see nuclear weapons, and if we do, they're not going to be all over the world. They're all going to be in 1 or 2 places. So, yeah. Anyway, I said I'd do this for 30 minutes and it's 45 minutes now. Whoa. I really, really appreciate the feedback though. You know, we can agree, we can disagree, we can agree to disagree. But sometimes just talking about stuff kind of explains it a little bit more. I'm getting a bit wary of the media at the moment. I don't know why. It's just something about it. I follow other channels of news from around the world, and there's a slightly different edge to it. I mean, obviously, Russia invading Ukraine, there's no different edge to that. It's just Russia invading Ukraine. But, yeah, and I think having discussions like this and seeing what other people are talking about. What do you think of Simple Simon, Carl the Dragon, and where to use? I have no idea what that is. What about Russian satellites? Will someone try to attack it? There's billions of Russian satellites up there. Good evening, Dean. So yeah, I think these chats, they're good for me as well because I learn things. Doing a bit of research on my little pad. Remember my little pad? The reason I'm a bit late tonight is because it was my grandson's 4th birthday today. He was 4. But he has a really scary...
Happy birthday to
Oh God.
you.
Right, let's get rid of that. He has a really scary way of blowing out candles. I don't know if you'll see this or not, but we'll give it a go. Yeah. No. She pushes him back, his mum, which is good. So there you go. How not to blow out candles. So... there are... you say that they're... on the ISS, there's Americans and Russians. I mean, there are in football teams, and like someone mentioned before, Haas. You know, we've got the Russian driver on the Haas football team, and there are sports people all over the world. But we can't hold them responsible for Putin being a complete church tower metal thing end. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. A huge thanks to, like I say, everyone who's contributed to this. So I'll read all your names out. DC number 9, The Ghost of Kiev, Angelo Keane, Mr. DJ D, Lewis, Dante Charles. If you're quick, you get your name on the bottom. Gator Man, Patrick Wild Music. Oh, the ghost was still there, so he's kept with us. I don't want to miss anyone out because some people just kind of put "I" and then don't write anything else. Dean. The Russian people aren't happy about Putin's actions, so I feel for them. Yeah, most Russians are against the war. Except for the ones who were brainwashed, and they're usually the people my age, to be fair, because you know they like me have grown up through the Cold War, so they've been told, like I was told, that Russian is the enemy, that we're the enemy. But I feel that we have more freedom. I mean, obviously we're all dictated to by governments, and you know our employers, councils, teachers, parents, you know everyone. The wife, if you're married, we are all governed by people, but I feel that we have more freedoms in the West than what they do in the East, and I also feel that we have more money and more luxury. I'm not saying we're all living in palaces. If you've seen my house, especially when I'm chasing the cat around on camera, not a chase around, you know what I mean, follow around with a camera, you can see that I live in an house the same as everyone else. In fact, probably more scruffier than anyone else, certainly before I decorated it last year anyway. the ones on the ISS will be taking their instructions directly from Russian government. Now, I reckon they'll be taking it from the Russian Space Agency. But that'd be interesting, wouldn't it, if... Because it's the Russian Space Agency that normally flies them up and brings them down again. Be interesting if they say, you know what, Americans, you can stay up here. We're not going to take you home. That'd be funny. Anyway, I've not said this for a while now, but I'm definitely going. Don't forget to, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this after the broadcast, then feel free to comment. But obviously, if you click the notification bell, then this time next week we can be having the conversation about wherever we're up to then. Because these are actually quite good. I'm getting into it now. The first few were a bit ropey because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not used to this interacting with people. I'm used to talking to the camera and then editing it and then putting it out there and then just getting comments. So SpaceX will bring them back. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for watching. It is greatly appreciated. Hopefully this thing will grow and grow and grow. Not the war, this bit of what I do. And funnily enough, talking to the space station. Woohoo! So yeah, thank you for watching. Take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, and although I'm about as religious as this button, let's pray for peace, shall we? I won't get it, but let's pray for it anyway. Take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you next week to see what a week that was. Till then.